Have you ever considered doing a wedding show to get wedding customers for your florist business? Wedding shows can be amazing because you can get a lot of customers all at once, or they can be a total bust. Believe me, because I have been to some awesome wedding shows and some that have totally sucked. In today's video, I'm going to share some pros and cons of doing a wedding show as a florist and how to decide if doing a wedding show is right for you and your business. My name's Ellen Frost. I'm the owner of Local Color Flowers, and I've been a florist for over 15 years. In that 15 years, I've done over 1,000 weddings, so I've done a ton of weddings, and I've been to a ton of wedding shows. I write a weekly newsletter all about flowers, which you can check out. There's a link in the description if you'd like to subscribe. And I host an online community called Flower More for flower nerds who want more flowers in their life. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of doing wedding shows. So the great thing about wedding shows is that, the first pro of doing a wedding show is that you are in a space, which is basically a big event space, with warm customers. So customers that are out there looking for services like yours. So it's a great way to talk to a lot of customers all at once instead of one customer at a time, either through your website or through social media or through email. This is, dozens and maybe hundreds of couples right there at the same time. The next pro is that going to a wedding show as a vendor, there is a lot of brand visibility. There's a lot of opportunity for brand visibility. So basically you set up a booth or a table and you have your business sign and you have your flowers and you have your business cards, and people come by and they talk to you and they can see your logo. They get a business card. So there is a lot of opportunity for brand recognition. Even if those people didn't book you for their wedding, they are seeing your logo, they're hearing about your services, and they might call you or email you for another service later on. Doing a wedding show can also legitimize you as a wedding florist. So it's an opportunity to tell the world and to tell engaged couples and to tell other vendors, I am a wedding florist. I am a legitimate wedding florist. I have a business, I have a brand, I have business cards. These are my flowers. So it's a way, especially in the beginning, if you're just getting started, I think it is a great way to legitimize your business in the eyes of the outside world. The next pro is being able to show people your flowers in real life. And if you're like me, your flowers look great in photos, they look great on your website, on social media, but there is something special about showing people flowers in real life. They get to hold a bouquet. They get to smell the fragrance of a bouquet. They get to really experience your work firsthand. And for me, there is just nothing like being able to show people flowers in real life. That is a huge pro of doing wedding shows. Another opportunity is being able to sell in real life. So being able to talk to people, tell them your story, schmooze them, explain how you can serve them. There is something really great about one-on-one connections with potential customers because it's great for them to get a sense of your personality, of how you might be a good fit for them. So selling in person, I think, is another pro. There's always an opportunity to create content too. So you are making all of these flowers, you are at this space. There's an opportunity to create social media posts, newsletter posts, behind the scenes content. And I would, if you do a wedding show, I would use that opportunity to do all of those things. So definitely create as much content, take photos of your flowers, of people holding your flowers, of you at the table. Do as much of that content creation as you can. And then lastly, I think this is like a pro that I think a lot of people overlook, but there is definitely like an opportunity to schmooze with other vendors. So when you're at a wedding show, there's, photographers and caterers and venue people and limo drivers and DJs, they're all there. All the people that you want to work with for weddings. So you have an opportunity to go around to each of those booths, basically just like the engaged couples do, and hand out your business card, introduce yourself, say a little thing about, your business, because there is so much business that happens for florists by partnering with other vendors. So now the cons. There are definitely cons to wedding shows. The first is the price. Wedding shows are really expensive for vendors, and it's going to be up to you to figure out how much do you really want to spend on a wedding show, because you have to pay for your vendor fee, which could be, a couple $100 to a couple $1,000. Like, wedding shows can be really expensive. And you also have to pay for flowers. You have to pay for your time. There's a lot that goes into it. So the con is that you are putting all this money into it and you're just really not sure what you're going to get back. The next con is that wedding shows are so time consuming. So as a wedding florist, as a vendor, you have to make basically like a whole wedding. You have to bring flowers that look like wedding flowers. So a bouquet, a boutonniere, corsage, head crown, centerpiece, maybe a ceremony piece. Maybe you're doing some sort of arch. You're basically spending the time to make an entire wedding. So that if you're doing it by yourself, that could be like a whole day's work. So you have to make all of that stuff. Then you have to, pack it and schlep it and deliver it to the venue, set it all up. And then these wedding shows can be like 4 hours or more sometimes. So you're basically, spending 4 or more hours at the show. Then you're undoing everything you did. So packing up all of your stuff and then driving home. So you're looking at, it could be between the time of making all the stuff and going to the show, it could be like 12, 14, 16 hours of work. And again, that's at risk. You're not really sure if there's going to be a payoff for that time. So they are really time consuming. Another thing that's a con is that, and I always had some anxiety about this, is that you are in a space with a lot of other florists. So you're usually not the only florist. If you are, that's great in one way, because, everybody's coming to talk to you. But at a big show, there's probably, 3, 4, 5, some number of florists there. So people are basically comparing you in real time with your competitors. And then lastly, wedding shows can be really exhausting. I'm just going to say, besides all the time that it takes to get there and set up and be ready, you have to be on selling the whole time. So you really have to come in geared up and mentally prepared to go in and be ready for sales, because you have to really be talking to people, networking, schmoozing, selling, to do that the whole time. And like I said, you have to do that both with the engaged couples, and you kind of have to do that with the vendors to make it worth it. So then how do you decide if you should go and be a vendor at a wedding show? For me, this is how I decided. First, how much does it cost? So I basically put together a budget of how much is the vendor fee? How much do I have to pay for flowers? How much is my time? And then I said, okay, how many weddings would I need to get to first make this money back and to make it worth it? So really figuring out, is the money worth it? Another thing I like to consider when I'm thinking about should I do a wedding show is whether or not there's going to be a lot of people there. I want a crowd. I want to have a lot of people. I want it to be worth my time. And one of the ways to gauge that is to see if the show makes people register beforehand. Do you have to buy a ticket, or do you have to register for a free ticket? That at least gives you some sense of how many people are going to be there. And it also makes people come. Because if they're not signing up, if it's just, show up if you want, it's really less likely that people are going to come. And it gives you no idea of how many people to expect. So I would see it's better, I think, if people have to pre-register, or if they even have to get a ticket. And then I always like to see if there's vendors there that I like, or that are my friends, or that have similar customer bases as me. And then lastly, I always try to gauge, is it being marketed well? So are there a lot of social media posts? Are they sending emails out? Are there ads? Are they really pounding the pavement trying to get people there? Because that will help. So what do you think? Are you thinking about doing a wedding show this season? If you are, maybe leave a comment and tell me if you're going to do it or not, and what made you decide either way. I would love to hear from you. And if you are going to do it, good luck. And I hope it's totally worth it. Hope it goes great.